of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, said I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, ooh, said I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, shine, shine. Let it shine.
1, 2, 3, go.
This little light of mine,
I'm gonna let it shine.
hey, hey, hey. This little light of mine, yeah.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Oh, this little light of mine,
I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
everywhere I go.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Hey, hey, hey. Everywhere I go.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Oh yeah, everywhere I go.
I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine.
Out there in the dark. Oh, I said out there in the dark. Yeah.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Out there in the dark.
I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine.
Shine, shine.
Let
Let
it
it shine.
All right, break it down.
How you doing out there this morning? You doing all right? Yeah? Well, I'm doing wonderful. And you know, I love this song, and I'd like for y'all to sing it with me. Is that all right? Yeah? Okay, now this is what we're gonna do. When I say, all up in my house, you're gonna sing, I'm gonna let it shine. Okay, you got that? Let me give it to you one more time. Now when I say, all up in my house, you're gonna say, yeah, all right now, band. I think they've got it. Let's get this going. Yeah. All up in my house. Yeah, hey, hey. All up in my house. Yeah. Hey, hey, hey. All up in my house. Yeah, yeah. Oh.
Let it shine.
Let it shine, yeah. This little light of mine.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Oh, yeah, yeah. This little light of mine, yeah.
Gonna let it shine.
Hey, 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 hey. This little light of mine.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Let it shine, shine, shine. Come on, let it shine. Woo. Got to let it shine. Got to let it shine. Oh, let it shine, yeah. Got to let it shine. Oh, come on, let it shine. We got to let it shine. Oh, let it shine, yeah. Ooh, let it shine. Shine, 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 shine. Let it shine. Hey, hey, let it shine. Ooh. Yeah, we're gonna keep this going. We're gonna keep this going. We got another song right here, and I know all of you know it. And I want you to sing this one with me too. All right?
All right.
Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together.
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 In the name of love, we come together.
We come together. We come together. In the name of love.
Take a look at the person next to you.
Take a look at the person next to you.
God loves you and I love you too.
God loves you and God loves you too.
Now feel the love in the sanctuary.
Sanctuary.
Now lift your voice and repeat after me. Oh, we come together.
We come together.
We come together. We come together.
Come together.
In the name of love, we come together. We come together.
We come together.
We come together.
Come together.
In the name of love, every walk of life, every breed and color, in kinship we unite and honor the God in each other. So look at the person next to you.
Take a look at the person next to you.
Say namaste, I bow to you.
Namaste and I bow to you.
Now feel the love in the sanctuary.
Feel the love in the sanctuary.
Lift your voice and repeat after me.
Lift your voice.
We come together.
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 We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together.
We come together.
Come together. In the name of love. Keep going. We come together.
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 Hey.
In the name of love, we come together. Come together.
We come together.
We come together.
We come together.
We come together.
Hey.
In the name of love.
All right. How was that? All right. All right. No more coffee for this bunch. All right. So that was Miss Terry Page and Miss Catherine Hack. Yes, our song leaders this morning. And Jason Goldstein is here for Ken today. And we'll let Jason introduce the band later, but I think most of us know him already, but always good to meet him again. So let's welcome our presider for the morning, Reverend. Come on, Rev, get on up here. Miss Catherine Hack, as we batten down the hatches in the back. Yes. We take a deep, conscious breath. Just release. Just allow ourselves to surrender to this eternal now moment as we come together for our call to service, which we call lighting the flames of faith. And we perform this ceremony to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. That fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all religious thought and experience, which we honor here this morning. So as Catherine lights the first candle is for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for shamanic traditions, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. The sixth candle we light for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. The eighth candle we light for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. The ninth candle we light for all forms of New Thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. The 10th candle we light for all those who are yet unaware of the power and presence of Spirit in their lives, and for the space we hold for them here at our center. And as Catherine lights the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal love.
In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. Oh, open my eyes and I see there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love.
As I speak my word this morning for everyone here, Divine Spirit, the source of all there is moving about gracefully through every facet of my life. I stop and witness this magnificent miracle revealing itself in my world. I feel it in every atom of my being, breathing me and embracing me. I surrender to the all-knowing nature of Spirit. I yield to it. As I just allow my mind to rest, my heart to expand, and my spirit to rise, I am willing to let go and let God. I am willing to release my need to know and turn away from worry and fear. I celebrate this day with joy in the divine presence. I watch this service unfold beautifully and perfectly in every aspect. As I rejoice in the opportunity of now, I give thanks, and I express my deepest gratitude, knowing the supreme intelligence of God is mine. I am of it, in it, and as it. This is my truth. And together we affirm this by saying, and so it is. Good morning. As I look out at all of you this morning, I feel such kinship and such heart connection. As we travel on this journey together, we get each other, we support each other, we listen to each other, and we learn from each other. It always feels so good to be among like-minded people and people who have probably experienced many of the same things that I have, over the years. So this morning I wanted to share a story with you that I heard the other day that was told by Dr. Jean Houston, who is a teacher, author, lecturer, and in the forefront of the human potential movement. So, one day, Mrs. Rosenberg says to her travel agent, "Darling, this year I don't want to go to Israel, the south of France, or Italy. I want to go and see the Swami of the year, Swami Anandanandananda." Oh, Mrs. Rosenberg, do you have any idea what you have to go through to go and see this Swami? 5 planes, a broken down bus out of Kathmandu, then a yak cart up the Himalayas, then you have to walk for 2 months, and then you have to stand online for another month, go to Israel. No, I want to see the Swami, so book it already. So the travel agent books it, and sure enough, Mrs. Rosenberg experienced all that her travel agent warned her about. She had to fly on 5 planes, not very comfortably, some of them. She had to ride this broken down bus out of Kathmandu, and not only did she have to take the yak cart, but she had to help push the yak over the Himalayas, and she walked for 2 months, and then she had to stand online for another month. Oh my gosh, she finally made it. Well, when she got into the little cave where everybody was chanting and just feeling wonderful, she could just feel it. And she looked over and she saw the Swami, and he was just eyes like in samadhi rolled up in the back of his head, just clearly in bliss. She leans over to the Swami and she says, "Morris, come home." I had to tell that story when I heard it. I just loved it. So I feel like there are a lot of us Morrises in here, okay? Because it isn't always easy to follow our calling when others are pulling us back to where they are comfortable seeing us, okay? Yeah, I know you guys get it. So Jean Houston has a message for us that she spoke about actually on Oprah's Super Soul Sunday. She believes, and I do, I'm sure most of you, that God has gifted us with human possibilities and capacities that are huge. And in many ways, we have barely begun to tap into who and what we are. We have many different persona, many different talents within us, and our story is mythic, and we all are on that hero or heroine's journey. And above all, we are sourced in spirit. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we are all adequate to the challenges of the times. It is imperative for us to see the spirituality in others because that engenders their possibilities. We are truly embodying the calling, or we wouldn't be on this path and in this philosophy. So Jean Houston says, just as you would not neglect seeds that you planted with hope that they will bear vegetables, fruits, and flowers, so you must attend to nourish the garden of your becoming. I believe that our becoming is all about the power of love and loving. I believe that is the ultimate message. I feel sometimes that in the midst of these challenging times, it isn't always easy to feel that love for the other. But crossing that bridge of the otherness is the key to raising the vibrational level of the human experience, to healing the human experience, and ultimately to feeling and expressing only love. That, I believe, is why we are here at this time in human history, why we are the Morrises of this time, and why we are continuing on this beautiful journey of life together. Namaste.
Hey, you guys. Good morning. I wanted to give a quick thank you to the musicians, Kent Moore and David Olivas, for playing with me. David's not going to play on this one. Thank you. This is a song that meant a lot to me growing up when I was little. I played it when I was like 8 or 9 years old, and it stuck with me, so here we go. Please don't cry. You know I'm leaving here tonight. Before I go, I want you to know that there will always be a light. And if the moon had to run away and all the stars didn't want to play, don't waste the sun on a rainy day. The wind will soon blow it all away, yeah. Oh yeah. Too many times I've planned to be much more than who I am. And if I let you down, I will follow you around until you understand that if the moon had to run away and all the stars didn't want to play, don't waste the sun on a rainy day. The wind will soon blow it all away, yeah. Oh yeah. When the days all feel the same, don't feel the cold or wind or rain, everything will be okay. We will meet again one day, and I will shine on for everyone. If the moon had to run away and all the stars didn't want to play, don't waste the sun on a rainy day. The wind will soon blow it all away, yeah. Oh yeah. When the days all feel the same, don't feel the cold, the wind, the rain, everything will be okay. We will meet again one day, and I will shine on for everyone. Shine on
will shine, shine on for everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was lovely, right? Sweet. Thank you for that. Very nice, very nice. Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to see you. If you're new here, you're most welcome. We're very happy to have you. And why don't we just turn to the person next to you and say hello, and maybe to the person behind you. If they're not familiar to you, introduce yourself to someone new. And if you have not been here before, please join us for refreshments after service in Sparks Hall next door for a cup of coffee and some sliced cucumber or whatever. Oh, I know we have a really beautiful fruit platter. There's some yummy stuff. So join us so we can get to know you. We're happy that you're here. So I am going to highlight some announcements of some of the things that are going on here at our center. Today we're having a board meeting, which isn't that interesting to most people, but you're welcome to come if you'd like. It's at 12:30. We invite all of you. We like to be transparent with our finances and the decisions that we make. So if you're at all interested, please join us. And that is today at 12:30. This coming week, Wednesday night, July 24th, is Visioning with Reverend Mike right before Flourish. Raise your hand, Elena. So we have this wonderful, beautiful spirit here who does this fantastic program called Flourish. And it's broadcast on, is it YouTube or?
It's the live stream.
Okay, it's live streaming. And who do you have coming in this week, briefly?
Martina Eberhardt is going to come talk about herbs and Chinese herbs, and we're going to talk about herbs all over the world and
Okay.
how we can grow them
Great.
in our own gardens.
So this Flourish program is really about ecology and the environment. So Milena brings in somebody different every month to talk about something in the environment that we can pay attention to. And this month, it's going to be herbs. So come join us for that. She is adorable and wonderful, and it's really great. So that's this coming Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. Also upcoming is our bereavement support group is going to be next Sunday at 1 o'clock. And our Law of Attraction group is also next Sunday at 2 o'clock. And then we have a big concert coming up on July 31st, right here in the sanctuary. It's a real throwback to the 60s, honestly. This group, Paradiso and Rasamai concert, is really fun. It's a very groovy experience. There's crystal bowls and didgeridoos, and it's just a real trip. So if you're at all inclined to want to head back to the 60s for an evening out, come join us for that. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of things going on here in the community. It's all listed in your program, so pay attention. Come see us again. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. You're adorable too. You and Milena. Please stand for the Declaration of Principles. We believe in one universal spirit manifesting through all, natural and incarnated in us. We believe the universal spirit is personal to and reveals itself through everyone who recognizes its presence. We believe that our faith operates upon a law of mind, which automatically manifests in our experience according to that faith. We believe in the unity of all life and the immortality of the individual soul, forever expanding. We believe in eternal goodness, the eternal loving kindness, and the givingness of life to all. Please remain standing for our song.
and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light, and I'm free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light, and I'm free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light, and I'm free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God. I'm only here for God.
Well, you guys sound pretty good today. Okay. The green light is on. So today's talk title, Living in Choice, which is in keeping with our theme for July, which is to advocate for freedom of thought. Again, as we keep going back to, we're exploring the justice gospel as put forth by James Forbes, a Protestant minister back in the East. He's very popular. Actually, was very popular. He's still around, but I think he's retired now. And then our from John Maxwell, who is a teacher of ministers and a big corporate trainer and excellent speaker, has written a bunch of books. Life is a matter of choices, and every choice you make makes you. Every choice you make makes you. And we're, of course, living in choice. We are living in choice. So to study and practice the science of mind and spirit is to study the nature of man and his or her relationship with what we know to be the divine. So in Western thought, this relationship is a kind of amalgam of Greek philosophy influencing the Abrahamic religions of Judaism, Christianity, and then later Islam, as all three traditions start with the book of Genesis, which has within it the story of the fall of man from the Garden of Eden. Man, we are told, was created in the image and likeness of the divine, including having the power of free will, the power of free choice. Now, this power of free choice can either be a gift or a curse, for with every choice there is a consequence. This is also known as the law of cause and effect. Yes? Yes. So as the story goes, Adam and Eve had the run of the place. They could do anything. They didn't have to wear clothes. They got free waxing from the local shop. And they could do anything they wanted except for one thing. And isn't it part of the human nature to want to do the one thing you're not allowed to do? Or is that just me? So ultimately, Adam and Eve were expelled. Were expelled for eating what? Yeah, eating from the tree of knowledge or the tree of good and evil, depending on which translation you're reading. And having eaten then this forbidden fruit, man was expelled. And I think if I remember right, that's Gabriel with the flaming sword. So I remember this from my my second grade Bible study thing. That's a pretty heavy thing to put on a kid, man. So having eaten this forbidden fruit, man was expelled from the garden to a life of arduous toil, for women to bear children in pain, and the snake gets to slither away on his belly with a satisfied smile. And then on top of all that, we get to grow old and die. Before, apparently, we were immortal beings. So I don't know what you would do in the Garden of Eden for forever. I suppose you'd think of a few things. So for people in the West, I'll wax you if you wax me. For people in the West, this story has been the jumping off point for religious thought and experience. For we are bestowed with free will. This is the main point of the story as I see it, that we are bestowed with free will and that there are consequences to our actions. Now, the second and third century Christian thinkers and philosophers like Origen and Augustine and a couple of others, the early Christian fathers, if you will, kind of were teasing this apart and trying to figure out, okay, so this guy Jesus was here, and this is what they said happened, so what does all this mean? Right? Because at the time, there were hundreds of Christian sects. Did you know this? And many of them were actually Jewish cults, Christian cults within Judaism still. And others. I mean, it was pretty wild. It was the wild, wild Middle East in those days. So, and out of that developed this idea of original sin, or the sinful nature of man, and how sin is an offense against God. And so when you are in your sinful nature, which you are, that's the natural state. This is the theory, right? Now you would think, modern people wouldn't think that way so much, right? Not as much. I mean, that doesn't mean it's not still in there, right? But if you think about, if you put this philosophy in its time, human life was cheap. Right? The world was a much different place then. Right? People experienced not having enough to eat, for instance, something that most of us take for granted. Right? That we were much more tied to the seasons. And we knew what it was to go hungry. There were all kinds of stressors in the environment driving at least brutality, if not violence, murder, even genocide. So it was very easy for the worst of man. It was very easy for man to show the worst in himself. And so philosophers are looking at this and trying to make sense of it. And so this thinking that the nature of man is evil, this was the viewpoint and the jumping off point for all philosophers, really, for 17 centuries. Because it wasn't until the 1700s when philosophers were started to tease this away. Now, that doesn't mean there weren't other thinkers before them, but enough of them were thinking in this way that we now call this time the Enlightenment, or the Age of Reason, because now we being humans, are beginning to learn more about our environment, that disease is not caused by an act of God, but that there are germs, and that we're discovering that the earth circles around the sun. And so a lot of things that we held to be true are just falling away in the light of scientific knowledge. And so philosophers now are trying to figure out, and so first the physical world and how science is defining that, or really redefining it in very revolutionary ways, right? And now starting to apply it to philosophy and then eventually religious thought, to where you have like Kant and Hegel and some of the other German philosophers. In fact, philosophers even call this the beginning of the German age also. So, now why is this important, and what's it have to do with religious science? Well, actually quite a bit, because for instance, like Hegel, for instance, kind of started coming up with this idea of God not being a person like Godhead, but rather a pantheistic idea that if God is everywhere present, then it must be much bigger than we know it to be. And what would happen if we started to look at man and understand human beings as being an emanation of a divine creation expressing itself in creative ways? So that's how they started thinking in this way. So it was really opening it up. And in Europe, this whole thing started another revolution, the Enlightenment, which informed what? The writers of the Declaration of Independence, and eventually the Constitution of the United States, which has been the inspiration for most of the major democracies on the planet, which is where we get the freedom of choice. Because in democracy, that is the whole thing. It's having the freedom of choice, breaking down the chains of authoritarianism, which was present in monarchies at the time. Now, there was some pretty crazy stuff that went down around all of that. We don't need to get into that, except just to keep following that through then to where we emerge into the 1830s, and then the transcendentalists, the poets, the writers, the thinkers, the lecturers, Emerson, Wordsworth, Thoreau, Mary Baker Eddy, Emma Curtis Hopkins, Phineas Parker Quimby, a fellow named Thomas Troward, who was a Brit who was stationed in India and learned about Hinduism and then started redefining that from an English perspective and presenting that. And so all of these things influence a fellow named Ernest Holmes, which is where we get this teaching. This teaching where Ernest Holmes encourages us to broaden in that pantheistic way, to really broaden what we understand God to be. Light, life, love, truth, beauty, wisdom, right? Whatever else you connect with. Expressing in, through, and as all of life. Right? And that we are one with that. And so what would happen then? What would happen then if sin is not an offense against God, but rather an error in thought? And then how do we redefine our experience of, say, the Scriptures, for instance? How do we redefine our experience with the Christ for the first 3 years of his ministry, where really he was coaching human beings up on how to be better human beings by being one with the Father and recognizing that what you're doing to another, you're doing to me. Right? That's that namaste thing, man. The divine in me is recognizing the divine in you. Because the Holy Spirit, I'm leaving you with the Holy Spirit, which is impressing itself through all of life, which means through all of us too. Now, this is a very powerful and revolutionary idea, because now what we're beginning to be encouraged to do is to recognize that the divine is in everything, every experience, every person, throughout all of nature. And of course, the challenge in the human condition is that things show up that seem inconsistent with that idea. So through poetry, prose, lectures, the transcendentalists encourage people to expand the way that they see the divine in the world, to look to nature, to look to all of life and celebrate, even celebrate, not worship, but to celebrate humanness and humanity itself as an expression of the creation from the mind of the Creator. Now, this is a much different relationship. So Ernest Holmes developed this idea a little bit further when he said that the divine plan is one of freedom. That bondage is not God ordained. That freedom is the birthright of every living soul. Now, do we not treasure this now, this idea? Yes? Yes. The birthright of every living soul, all instinctively feel this, that the truth then points to freedom under law, right? Under law. So to everything there is a consequence. To every cause there is an effect. Thus, the inherent nature of man is forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom. So Ernest Holmes is encouraging unification, this idea that God, recognition first, that God is, that we are one with it. And up until now, many of the practices have been devotional. Right? So in Catholicism, as a kid, we are often told when you are working with struggle to offer it up to the poor souls in purgatory, which is fine. But there's nothing in there about exploring your own part in it. Right? How am I creating this? Right? Or even though there's an examination of conscience, right? If we think that everything's cool, how are we going to know if we're screwing up? So, it's, there's room for improvement. And by understanding that our thought creates our reality, and the tendency of our thought demonstrates as the outer condition of our life, this is a much more powerful way to live. For there's a power now, a power for good in the universe, because what if God is good and only good? How does that change it up? What if there is no devil? What if it's just humans acting in ignorance, Buddhist idea, acting in ignorance in ways that appear to be evil? Now, who puts the responsibility then is put back where? On us to be more compassionate, for us to be able to reframe it. So you can see how this can be a much more powerful way to live spiritually, which can also apply to any denomination. You don't have to give up, because the recognition thing is coming from your perception and perspective anyway. That was the original intent. But people were kind of done with denominational religion and kind of pushed Holmes into doing this as a religion. And I, for one, am glad of that. So, Holmes, recognition, unification, that we can speak our word with authority in the same way the master teacher Jesus spoke his word with authority and encouraged anyone who read those scriptures to do the same thing. Knowing that it is our belief and the power of the divine that's making it so. Right? So when we are one with the Father and we are speaking our word with authority, you know what you call that? A plan. That's a plan. That's a divine plan. Only now it's a co-creative venture. So we have a plan, but as Mike Tyson pointed out, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Yeah. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. So, I had a rough week last week, right? I found out I insulted a friend of mine unknowingly, that they'd been hanging on to it for a while. And then it was time to put our little guru down. Yeah, Begley. I started calling my little guru. He went blind years ago. And, he just bumped around. And I'm just watching one day. I'm like, he's so chill. So I'll back up and I'll go this way. Right? And he just kind of figured life out, and he didn't get nasty, and he was always sweet. But we had to put him down. And that was really hard to do. And then 15 minutes later, this happened. Yeah, I know, right? Some jackass hit us in the back. Yeah. Did I just say that out loud? An emanation of the divine expressing as a car thief. Yeah. Rear-ended us. Yeah. It was crazy, right? But we're here. Walked away, right? And it's an interesting thing because I was telling the earlier service, how you drive on the freeway and it's Friday afternoon and you just want to get home and start the weekend, and some clown has held up all the traffic ahead of, well, we were that clown on Thursday. So anyway, it was very emotional. We're just kind of going, wow, man, what the heck? And so everyone has a plan till they get punched in the mouth. So what I know about this is that regardless, as Ernest Holmes says in A New Design for Living, that regardless of the situations, the conditions or persons that we feel inclined to dislike or hate, we must resist that inclination. Now, why is that? Who suffers? We do. So here we are, we're playing with this infinite power and presence, and we're wanting to demonstrate more of life, and yet we're feeling stymied, and we don't know why. And then we discover, I got to go clean up this resentment over here. Right? I got to go clean this up. Right? Because the flow of life is the flow of love. And when we're harboring discord, hate's a pretty strong word. I don't know that I've really hated anything or anyone in a long time, but I certainly have known people I'd rather spend time with, like in 2 different states. So, so in some way, we have to find something of value in them, no matter how big or little it may be. So this is a Buddhist practice of practicing compassion, right? Yeah. Or in the Christian practice of turn the other cheek, right? Not to be a victim and just do this so they go, right? It's not about that. It's not about being a victim. It's about like, that doesn't work for me anymore. Adios, right? Free of animosity or hate. And once the flow is started, so concentrate on that and that alone, right? Ignoring all things we dislike. So we're not playing let's pretend. We're not doing a spiritual bypass and just offering it up to the poor souls. Not that there's not value in that. That's not what we're doing. We're looking at it, we're acknowledging it, and then we are consciously choosing to think a different way around it. And this is the practice, man, because it is not easy when you are in it. Yes? I mean, I'm one of those guys who could take a resentment and move in and furnish it for months. And now it's, pretty much a day or 2, sometimes a week, right? Until I just kind of get done with it. Because I realize, man, I'm the one suffering. This is the great thing about this teaching. We can choose again. We live in the freedom of choice. And then once the flow is started, there's opened up the channel of reciprocal action. So another name for that would be the law of circulation. Again, that's showing up again and again and again. As we give, so we receive. So let's take a deep conscious breath. Invite the lads to come on up here and get situated. So, thinking about this idea, it's a good start to the Sabbath, good start to the week, to just take stock of where we are, to be grateful. I'm grateful for the years of my little buddy, Bagley. I'm grateful for Stephanie, that we were able to walk away without a scratch. I am grateful for the consciousness of the light of the divine which surrounded us so that we were able to skid to a stop, and it's just a car, and that we have a consciousness that we're not attached to that. That we were speaking about this earlier, about we don't even really hold animosity to the kid who hit us, because we know there's another story going on there, man. Because we have insurance, which is also consciousness. It's all consciousness. Right? And so when we are one with the Spirit, we are one with life. And that the tendency of our thought expresses as a life of peace and harmony, of compassion, even when we get punched in the mouth, that we can just step away and move into a new day. And that's a good thing.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow are so pretty in the sky, and also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? And all they're really saying is, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful, wonderful world.
sky, and also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? But all they're really saying is I love you. I hear babies cry, and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Thank you.
That was good team effort there, guys. That was really great. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, as we prepare our gifts for the offering, Move to Generosity by that wonderful song. We call our ushers forward. And if you're in the 4T Prosperity Program, don't forget to bless the basket. We'll do the offering on Tuesday night.
Spirit gives through me, Spirit receives through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me, Spirit lives and breathes through me, Spirit gives through us, Spirit receives through us, Spirit lives and breathes through us, Spirit lives and breathes through us.
Good to see you back in the saddle here. All right. All right, so just going within for a moment longer, let's just take a deep breath. Just recognize the gifts presented here, whether here in the offering basket or online or through automated giving. We know that all of it is a demonstration of consciousness that knows and knows that it knows that God is our source, our substance, our supply. So through the generous heart from which these gifts have been offered here this morning, we, representing the heart of this spiritual community, accept these gifts with deep love, respect, and appreciation as we know together they go forth to heal, to prosper, and to bless the life of everyone here this morning, the life of anyone connected to our center in any way, that we extend these glad tidings and this blessing to our friends here in our community of Granada Hills, our city of Los Angeles, our state of California, our United States of America, all of its churches, temples, mosques, schools, universities, the people who attend them, the people who support them, for our planet as well, that we know that all of it is an emanation from the mind of the Spirit itself expressing. And to the extent that we know this to be so, we see it demonstrating in all ways, great and small. This lifts our heart. We feel a sense of power that propels us into ways of spiritual living that raise not only ourselves, but those around us as well. And that's a good way to live. And together we acknowledge this by saying, and so it is. So please help me thank lovely Rita And Miss Chloe, thank you for being of service this morning. Oh. So, how we doing, guys? Let me turn off my mic so we don't have a Jimi Hendrix moment. So, tell everybody who you are.
Hi, I'm Andreas,
Man, you've been busy today.
and I wrote Spanish.
Nice, good job. How about yourself?
Hey, I'm Akira.
Akira, let them see your handsome face there.
And today we talked about being unified with God. And we used an example that I really liked, where we grabbed a cup of water, and we had a plate, and we poured a drop of water into the plate. And we kind of talked about how there's no difference from the water, and that the water in the plate is us, and the water in the cup is God, and that we've all come from one source, and we're all unified with God.
That's deep, man.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice work. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for bringing your kids, and thank you, teachers, for that. That's a good lesson. So let's thank Miss Terry Page and Miss Catherine Hack for singing for us today. Mr. Davis and Kent Moore, our musicians. And Mr. Jason Goldstein. All right, and let's get our ministers and practitioners circle the room and pray us out, Catherine. Please.
Please, once again, just close your eyes and join me in consciousness and just feel the love. Feel God in, as, and through everything and everyone. I just feel the gratitude of this day, of this service, of this community. I'm just filled with gratitude right now and emotion. Just love. It is all love. In the minister and his message, in the music, in the children, it is a wonderful world. And we feel it right here and right now. And we take that feeling out into the world as we leave this space today. We go in harmony and peace, in love, in understanding of the truth. And we know if we have a plan and we get punched in the mouth, we keep going. We keep moving forward, because that's life. It's all good. It's all God. And we are warriors. We are the Morrises of this time. And so with a grateful heart, with so much love and so much appreciation, I just release my word to this amazing law of mind, knowing it is all good, it is all good, it is all God, it is all God, it is all love, it is all love. I release my word, let it go, and together we affirm this by saying, and so it is.
Please join us for the peace song. On earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be. With God as a power, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let days begin with me, let us be the moment of
each moment and live each moment with me.